loaded up, and we're heading to Brainerd, Minnesota. So last night we loaded the wife's truck up. She had one to take back, so she's already home. But we got here in to Elkhart. We stayed at the Loves, that's just out of town. Probably got there about 3 in the morning. I went to bed. Well, no, it was about 5 in the morning, and she slept the whole way out. So she's driving all the way back, and she's home now. It's probably about 4 or 5 o'clock now. We're all loaded up. It is absolute mud here. It was a real joy trying to get the wobble wheel to go through this mud. So it's a little windy today, so we're gonna strap the backs down again like we did in the last one. That helped out a lot, so we're gonna continue to do that. And ran into one of the subscribers, runs for Dynamic. His name's Mike. He's on the other side of me getting loaded up right now, so it was nice to meet you. Kind of did a lot of talking, so loading took a lot longer to do today, but that's fine. He's got some old vintage that he's loading up, cruisers. So he's getting his second one loaded up. We're all strapped up. We're gonna get inspected, and then we're gonna talk a little bit about getting into RV transport. Questions to ask yourself before you make the jump into it. It's not for everybody. It's an easy way to kind of own your own business, so to sense. But there's some things to ask yourself if it's right for you before you make the plunge and stop doing what you're doing to do this. So we'll get on the road and we'll talk about some of this stuff here in a little bit. We made it to Brainerd. I think it is right at 4 o'clock in the morning. They've got some snow here. Holy smokes. There's payloaders everywhere loading like end dumps and dump trucks and whatever, like scooping on the intersections. Yeah, they got some snow here in the lot. So we had to pull ahead next to the building over there. So as soon as I pulled in the driveway, I had to take a left and get pulled up next to, I think, I don't know if you can see that flag over there or not. And then back in through here. So we're gonna unload right there. They told me I could unload, and then when they get here at like 8:30, they'll get me all checked in, and we're gonna head right back to Goshen. Man, this ice is slick. It's gonna fall on my butt. So it's not near as warm here either. But all right, let's get these things unloaded so we can take a nap. So the very first question you guys you want to ask yourself before you get into RV transporting and jump into it is why do you want to do it? Is it just something you talk to a friend and they talked about how much money they made, or you want to travel? You know, just ask yourself why you want to get into it in the first place. There's a million answers, no wrong answers, but just to ask yourself, why is it you want to do this? And then what about family? Do you have wife and kids? How much home time do you have to have? Can you stay out for a week at a time? Or you just plan on doing like 1 or 2 runs a week, being out 2, 3, 4 days a week, something like that? That's pretty much kind of how I do it. You kind of lose out on a lot of earning potential, I guess, especially now that I do multi-haul. with the back hauls and stuff, but for the most part I make it work pretty well. And then, can you sleep in a truck? If you're going to be out for a few days at a time, week at a time, month at a time, you're not really going to want to get a hotel every night. That's really going to start eating into profits. And with tax write-offs and stuff, you actually come out money ahead by sleeping in your truck and not spending that money on an actual hotel, because you still get to write it off regardless whether you're in a hotel or whether you're sleeping in the backseat of your pickup. So yeah, that's just kind of something to think about too. And then the next thing to think about is, do you already have the equipment, or do you have to go and spend a lot of money right up front and buy a truck, hitches? And I'd say an auxiliary tank is almost a must, because you save a lot of money with that auxiliary tank. Is you can pick a location with that has the cheapest fuel, and with that auxiliary tank you can pretty much run all day, if not a day and a half, before getting fuel. So you can always top off with the cheapest fuel, and that auxiliary tank is going to pay itself off in a big hurry. So that's one thing is, yeah, do you have equalizer hitches? Every company requires equalizer hitches. I'd say the vast majority of them, not every one of them, but the very vast majority of them do. Fifth wheel hitch, a lot of people have fifth wheel hitches, but like these companies require that you have to have 20,000 or heavier hitch, and most of you people that have fifth wheels and stuff, the dealership's probably going to sell you a 16,000 or something. So you have to look at your expenses for the equipment you're going to need. You're also going to have to be DOT compliant, so you got to have your fire extinguisher, triangles, fuses, all that stuff to be DOT compliant. So that's a little bit more expensive, which most people probably don't have if they've never done DOT stuff before. Can you work on your own equipment? If you have you know, a shop doing your oil changes all the time, that gets a lot more expensive. Doing your own maintenance, your own oil changes, you can save a lot of money by doing that. And just knowing how to work on your truck. So also, like, yeah, if you have a breakdown and you're in the middle of nowhere, are you comfortable with, you know, diagnosing it, trying to fix it on the side of the road? Do you know who to call or whatever? It seems like I don't say a lot, but I've talked to a few people where, since they think they're leased on to a company, that company is like responsible for helping them get up and go and finding mechanic or tow truck, whatever. And that's not really the case. You gotta have the mindset you're on your own, and can you handle yourself on your own if you have problems, whether it's trailer related or your truck. So just ask yourself, what are you gonna do if you have a breakdown in the middle of nowhere? And let's see, you know, the pay is really well if you manage your money well. Fuel prices now are really eating into that. But how much do you have to make to pay your bills? You know, people, you might, I don't know if you've talked to somebody or however you heard about RV transporting, but you'll hear people talking about, you know, 6 figures is pretty easy to hit, which it is, but they're talking gross. So yeah, you're making, you know, you could be making $200,000 a year, and at the end of the year you might have taken home 70,000. You know, just throwing out numbers, everything's different for every person on your expenses, but yeah, like, what do you need for cash flow to survive? And then you obviously need to have money somewhere for breakdowns, because it's going to happen. I think in the last year I've had close to, just on this truck alone, I've had a $5,000 turbo go out. The emissions went out, and that wasn't covered under warranty, so I had like $5,700, $6,000, something like that, and getting the truck fixed to get back up and going. Plus I was down for a total of 4 months, I think, between the 2 breakdowns. So do you have the money sitting around that if you have a major breakdown, you'll be all right? So then, if you've decided that you do want to do this, what division do you want to do? Do you want to do driveway if you don't have a truck? It's an easy way of getting into it, getting started. The pay isn't as well, and you have to pay for your own fuel and stuff like that. But yeah, I'd say starting out, you know, you got driveway division, and then you have the towaway division if you have your own truck or if you plan on getting your own truck, and then there's also the multi-haul. So you have different options. You got to ask yourself what you want to do for that, and obviously that different divisions have different costs, different pay, so there's a lot of variables in that. But those are just some questions to ask yourself before you kind of jump into this. So I would say that probably the biggest reason people leave is, number one, they can't manage the money and they're not making any money. Plus there's bad luck that happens with that too. Or they didn't expect being away from the family was going to be so hard. So that's just one of those things. You got to make sure you and your family are okay with you being gone. First couple weeks isn't that hard, but when you start doing it over and over and over, that's when people start realizing that this isn't for them after about 2 months, 3 months. Or they realize, just like I said, how expensive it actually is. Yeah, you're taking in a lot of money, but there's a lot of money going right back out. But I think that's just kind of some of the stuff I'd say to think about. You know, take it for what it's worth. It's just my option, or my opinions, I guess. But there's a lot of guys on YouTube that have breakdowns on the cost of operations, cost of setup, and getting ready to get into RV transport, so I'm not going to get into that. There's plenty of videos on that kind of stuff. But yeah, just ask yourself questions. Kind of, you know, prepare yourself mentally, I guess. That's kind of probably the biggest thing. So, but all right, we are up on our 10 hours. I think it's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We ended up having to move to a rest area just outside of Brainerd, so I had the personal conveyance over here. Hey, that's another thing to think about. Logs. Do you know how to run logs? There's a lot of new guys. Once they get started, they have 1,000 questions trying to figure out how to do it. So majority of the companies run Keep Trucking, so I would get on. YouTube's going to be your friend on that, probably. Start watching a bunch of videos on how to do logs, what you have to log, what you don't have to log. Yeah, that'd be my, definitely on the top of the list, I guess. It's one of those things, they do a quick run through when you do orientation at every company, but it's not enough to actually remember. So that would be a big deal to help yourself out, is do a lot of research and studying and watching and everything on Keep Trucking. Even download the app way ahead of time and start playing with it and figure out how it works. But, all right, so yeah, like I said, we're in Brainerd at the rest area. Our 10 hours is up. We're gonna head back to Goshen. I'm gonna meet Courtney out there, and we're gonna pick up 2 of our new rentals. Friday, they kicked out a couple of our campers, well, a few of our campers, all on Friday, and told us we had to have them out of there on Monday, but they forgot to tell us about it. So they were not impressed with us yesterday, or the dealership. But when we don't know something, I don't know what we're supposed to do about it. So I'm heading out there, and we're gonna try and get 2 26-foot bunkhouses on here. And then Courtney is gonna grab another one, which I was gonna try and put hers on my trailer, because hers is shorter, but it's taller height-wise, so I'm pretty sure that one's gonna be too tall. We'll measure it once we get there, but according to the spec sheet, it's a foot taller than the Sportsman, so that will not fit on the truck. It'll probably be way too tall, probably be pushing 14.6, maybe even 15 foot, so if the spec sheet is correct. So she's gonna go to the family viewing today, and then when that's over with, then she's gonna head out, meet me out there, probably hop in the truck and sleep with me for a while, and then we gotta pick up some parts too while we're out there, so that'll be fun. Got some paneling to pick up, and some leveling jacks to pick up, so we'll have to kind of fit all that stuff on the trailer or in the camper too. So this will be kind of an interesting day on staging them, because I can't get in the KZ yard with this trailer. pretty sure I can. We'll look when we get there. But I think I'll have to have Courtney pull them out, stage them up for me somewhere. Then I'll have to get them loaded up, and then we gotta do some running around and pick up parts at different plants. So tomorrow should be kind of a fun day. Otherwise, weather looks good all the way back to Goshen. I think it got a lot warmer here today than it was supposed to. I think 31 was the high, but I think it's close to 40. Snow's melting pretty good. The guy at the dealership said they're supposed to get another snowstorm coming through on Saturday. So glad it's not us, but at the same time we could use some snow back at home. It's so dry. Our gravel road, there's cracks in it. I could probably literally stick my arm down. But, all right, the truck is warmed up, and I think we're gonna get on the road, get some fuel up here in Hudson, Wisconsin, and at TA. They got the cheapest fuel on their routes on the top off there. And so, all right, let's get on the road. And just like that, we are back at Love's in Elkhart. So Courtney should be here in about 2 hours. She's just getting into Chicago now. And then in the morning, we're gonna try and grab our 3 campers that I talked about earlier. I'm not sure if it's gonna work, but we'll try it. And then we got some parts to pick up for another rental company that we kind of work with. So I got a bunch of parts that need picked up at a couple different plants. So we're gonna pick those up for them. And yeah, that'll be our plan for tomorrow. But on the conversation that you know, if RV transport is right for you, the other thing to kind of think about too is are you able to drive, you know, 9, 10, 11 hours a day and do it over and over again? I know some people, you know, doing it once here and there, it's fine, but they don't realize kind of how strenuous it is, I guess, if you want to say, when you do it every other day or every day and 4, 5, 6 days a week. But not like deterring anybody from giving it a shot, but it's just stuff to think about, because there are a lot of people that get into this and then they get out within a couple months. So that's just stuff to think about. But I think we're going to end this one here, and then the next one we will see you when we are seeing how many campers we can get loaded on this thing. I just have this feeling that they're going to be too long, and they're not going to crest over top of the dovetail to the deck. Seems like you get them longer ones and the front jacks will drag, or the back of the camper drag. So if that doesn't work, we'll just have to park this somewhere, and then Courtney will each pull one back, and then we'll have to come back and grab 2 more, and I think that's all of ours for this year. We'll have all of our campers, I believe. So like I said, that's gonna be it for now, and we'll see you in the next one.